Hello, everyone. How y'all doing today? Hope you're having a good time. I see Silly Mithiel. Is that the right way to pronounce it? I saw in the Discord you said that you hadn't expected the way new people were going to pronounce it. It's Millithiel. How do you want me to pronounce it? You put in a little pronunciation guide and then it didn't kind of click in my brain. No, not even close. Yes. Perfect. Okay, you don't mind. Okay, Silly Millie Thale. Lo-Fi Prince, hello. I want to pronounce your name right. I try my best. Genuinely, it is important to me. But anyway, if you could give me more hints, that would be great. But I'm glad that y'all are here today. I've been really sick this past week. BP Phantom, hello. My litho, uh-oh. My litho? Is that close? Silly my little? Yeah, yeah. I've been very sick this week, so I didn't prepare as many notes, but I do have a special treat. I want to read an article out loud to you all later and annotate it with just my commentary. And it's a great article about butterflies versus a homeowners association. Um, oh, Silly Millie. Okay, I like that. Silly Millie. Silly Millie. I'll call you that. Um, All right. So, but I am very excited to be with y'all. I'm still sick, unfortunately. Like I think I mentioned on Sunday that there's some sort of sickness that is just going through the building. And even though even before the pandemic, was pretty hardcore about hand washing, like I used to give people lots of little mini uh, demos on how like soap is mechanical and it's the bubbles that do the work and like you really got to get into it. I caught some kind of stomach bug. Um, so Silly Millie, you wrote my lith name a name the letter L, so emphasis on lith. My lith AL. Okay, okay. Oh no, giving yourself permission to take a break is important. I agree. I agree. Normally, I try to have like this big thing of notes prepared. In fact, I can even just show you all because I updated some things. You can see here, I've got my whole Google Doc on why Jojo Mart sucks. And here's all of like my sources as well. As you can see, a lot of Strongtown stuff. Got one of my favorite books, Secular Cycles. Absolutely recommend it. And yeah, lots of stuff there. So normally I've like got a ton of stuff prepared and I slept until like 1 today, and this wasn't like I'm intentionally gonna sleep in. It was just literally I slept through my alarms, and that's how sick I've been. It's very annoying. Um, but anyway, let's I want to see what y'all are saying in chat. Oh, Lalo Alter, hello. I don't want to be famous, in fact, though I appreciate the offer. I yeah, I had like a little taste of fame several times in my life and I did not enjoy it. I lived in a very rural part of Japan for many years where I was one of the only foreign people there, and everybody knew everything that I did and would like follow me around and like take pictures of me while I was doing stuff, especially my students. I had like a little student paparazzi, and I got a lot of slut shaming because I had like multiple friends who are men, and they would just, everyone assumed that I was dating all of them, and I was just like, none of them. They're just my friends, and there's always rumors about me, and my coworkers even knew how often I ordered pizza for some really creepy reason and would be like, "Oh, you must not be concerned about your body weight." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not. Like, I'm just trying to live my life and I need to eat pizza sometimes." Anyway, that was a pretty close taste of being famous, and I realized I hated it and I definitely don't want. So, bot that advertised buying followers, no thank you. uh Krellin, you said stupid bodies demanding rest so they can heal. Yes, yes. And then silly Mylitheo. Yeah, I invented my name in 1997 for Wheel of Time. Oh my goodness. My partner's been reading those books. I haven't gotten the chance yet, but now I'm even more interested. It was meant to be androgynous, as I'm male, but needed to play a female character. I never imagined other people trying to pronounce it 20 years later. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Uh, yeah. So let's just start today. I wanted to start with the thing that I'm the most excited about doing today. I'm going to make this window a little bit bigger. I'm going to read an article to y'all. And I'm going to read it out loud and we're going to talk about it just because it's a fun article. And then we will play the game. I promise we will play the game. If anybody comes, hello, Baron Tour, and wonders, hey, this is supposed to be a JojaMart stream. Why in the world are you talking about butterflies? Well, it's because it's relevant. That's why. Not a JojaMart stream. I'm just obsessed with taking down JojaMart. So a Stardew Valley stream. So this is actually, I found this article through one of my favorite authors a very long time ago. His name is Jeff Vandermeer. He did the Southern Reach trilogy, which is the first book is where the movie Annihilation came from. The book and the movie basically have nothing to do with each other. I love the movie and I love the book, but they're completely separate things. But I recommend the book series because it's actually about like total annihilation in the face of ecological collapse and like identity collapse and sort of the great threat that climate change poses to all of us through I don't know, weird magical alien mutation anomalies and shame and psychological manipulation and experimentation and stuff. Anyway, it's a fantastic series. I highly recommend it, especially if you like weird fiction, like the genre weird fiction. Anyway, he posted this article a long time ago. Not that long ago, because it was only written just about a year ago, but it is a great one. So the website is a blog called The Humane Gardener, and it's very much focused on creating gardens that are meant to be biodiversity hubs. There's often a sort of phrase in like eco-forward gardening that it's like if nothing is eating your garden, it's not part of the ecosystem. And this idea that the goal should not be these perfectly manicured monoculture lawns that don't do anything, aren't part of an ecosystem, but to create a place that is like a beautiful haven for you and for all other types of life. And this article is an absolute wild ride. I am excited to read it all to you. So the title is here, Butterflies 1, Bully 0. And yes, Krellin, I hate lawns so much as well. And yeah, literally grass that we grow in lawns is the single largest crop that we basically grow in the entire world. Like if you think about it, most of our yards are actually usually pretty good farmland. Remember in previous episodes, we talked about how most cities are built around really fertile land, either things that are river deltas now or were like ancient river deltas or ancient sort of oceans. And so the ground is incredibly fertile. And we tend to build around that. So more than 40% of the world's, you can even see I've got a whole source to cite right here. 40% of the world's cropland is in or near cities. And then NASA here has a whole thing studying about how most of the world's best topsoil is actually under city infrastructure. So if you think about it, your yard is probably really, really good fertile cropland that you could use to grow things. There are problems with pollutants. There's problems with growing food that you're going to eat near roads. There's all kinds of like things that we can be exposed to that we don't want to, especially in large amounts over time. And some things you can't just like wash the fruit or the vegetable and it's fine. Sometimes things get really well absorbed. Things like lettuce and spinach and everything really absorb things deep into them. But anyway, We can make our yards better. I'm sorry, I'm gonna definitely be a little tired today, but I'm so excited to hang out with all of you. Verontor, you said, I've been seeding with local flora lately to counter the putting greens down my street. Yeah, silly my lithael. Lawns were literally ostentatious waste. They were intended as, look how rich I am. I can afford to waste this land by not growing crops here. Yeah, I think I shared it before. Let me actually find the meme. Uh, what is the one? French noble yard meme. I think this will get me what I'm looking for. Maybe not. Let me try. Do you still dress like this? Yard meme. Okay, I'm gonna find it. There's a good meme. Here we go. Here we go. This is perfect. This one right here. Looks like there's lots of funny memes. But this one, are you still dressed like this? And the pictures of, like French Rococo Baroque period clothing with the giant floofy hair and the millions of coats and buttons and clasps. No, then why does your yard still look like this? So 18th century style yards are no longer environmentally sustainable. I mean, they never really were. We just had lots of surplus energy that was being hoarded by the elites. This is one of the things you'll learn in Secular Cycles if you ever read the book or even just the intro, is that we have energy surpluses getting hoarded and overused by the elites tends to precipitate, is one of the things that precipitates societal collapse. Yes. Anyway, and our yard aesthetics come from this, as actually exactly as silly my lithael said, it was intended to show off. It's conspicuous consumption. It's showing people, look how rich I am, what can I afford? And then Krellin, you said, the last time I had a lawn, I didn't own the property and the owner didn't like the natural but cultivated landscape I developed there, even though letting native plants grow actually had kept the ants out of the house. Yep. Yeah, the last place I rented had a lawn, and I was renting it from my temple. If you don't know, I'm an ordained Buddhist monk. And the head monk at my temple was an absolute psychopath. He was also my Dharma teacher, so it's kind of a complicated relationship. And he literally told me I was trash because there were dandelions in my yard. And I was like, they're the first things that feed bees. And like, can I leave them for a day or two? Anyway, he got angry because I couldn't do like professional level sculpting of the shrubbery in the yard. Like we would clip it. I'm only 5 feet tall though, 153 centimeters. So like even on a ladder, there's only so high I can reach. And he was just angry all the time. He like threatened to beat me up because the sink got clogged once. I'm not even joking. Like that guy was a real... Even Buddhist monks can be absolute psychopaths. A lot of people have this idea that Buddhism is this like more pure and innocent religion. It is just as fucked up as every other religion. It's got the good points, it's got the bad points. Anyway, I digress. Hello, Reverend Mort. Dandelions are great for on tour. Reverend Mort, hello, people. And oh, we're talking about the horrors of homeowners associations, lawn regulations, and the terrors wrought by artificial gardening. Yes, we are. It is also relevant to the game. And dandelions are tasty. They are tasty. And like, they're great and cute. And they like have such cool dimorphism. And I love them. Anyway, we're going to read this article. Butterflies 1, Bullies 0. And this is by Nancy Lawson. Definitely want to give her credit. When the Homeowners Association attacked my sister's garden, they probably had no idea what their actions would wreak. A statewide ban on small-mindedness. Krellin said, I'm talking about one particular boomer landlord, not a whole ass HOA. Yes. Yeah, this is quite the story. Okay, so we've got this beautiful picture here of like a cute, like colonial revival, I want to say, house. I don't see any like Greek-esque columns, so I don't think it's that period. It looks kind of New England-ish. But newer, and it's a cute there's some grass, there's little pathways, there's these little garden patches, there's lots of trees. It looks very diverse. There are flowers. I mean, to me, this looks lovely. The Crouch Gardens lit up the community and are enjoyed by many neighbors, both human and wild, including the eastern tiger swallowtail butterfly, nectaring on phyllox. And so this is the featured image. Okay, so then if you live in a community governed by a homeowners association, I'm sorry, in Maryland, your HOA will soon no longer be allowed to require you to grow turf grass. It can no longer prohibit you from planting native plants and creating wildlife habitat. The Maryland General Assembly has spoken quietly and firmly. I mean, this should be done with a ton of fanfare, in my opinion. Joining a growing number of states last week by passing House Bill 322, the low impact landscaping legislation that specifically codifies your right to be wildlife friendly, plant friendly, and environmentally conscious. Cool. Very exciting. One of the things that I imagine though is even though this passed like over a year ago or about a year ago at this point, is a lot of people still probably don't know this, and a lot of HOAs still probably try to enforce these things that are no longer legal, which is bullshit. So continuing on, you can thank my sister, Janet Crouch, for that. The Office of Delegate Terry Hill, a co-sponsor of the bill, already did, expressing gratitude for her brave advocacy. Yeah, I mean, you have to be brave to stand up to an HOA. In an email the day after the unanimous Senate vote, and adding, this wouldn't have all happened without you bringing this forward. And then here we've got this beautiful picture of a hummingbird eating from a flower. And Barantor, you said we bought our house. When we bought our house, we knew we were both, oh my goodness, I'm going to start over here. When we bought our house, we both knew we were absolutely not going to get one in an HOA. That is very smart thinking. Reverend Mort, oh, to be clear, I don't think everyone involved in HOAs are awful. I do think the structures and system of HOA do enable and support horrible boomers and others in perpetuating and creating some truly effed up shit. Yeah, I mean, I can't just blanket say that every person who's ever in an HOA is a petty tyrant. I mean, I can't, because I'm sure there are ones that actually do really good things, but overall their history is quite racist. They definitely started as an intended way to sort of like police and control, you know, respectability and presentability and very like upper middle class, lower upper class ideas. And yeah, silly Mylethael, the idea of an HOA is broken. For sure. Okay, so 3.5 years ago, Janet and her husband Jeff began receiving demands from the Beech Creek Homeowners Association in Howard County that they convert their beautiful 15-year-old pollinator gardens to turf grass. In a series of bullying and nonsensical letters, the HOA's contracted law firm, Nagel and Zaller, wrote that a garden without the use of pesticides, in which they have maintained native plants to provide food for birds, bees, and other insects and animals, is completely contrary to the overall design scheme for the association, which is a planned development. Lots within the association are intended to be uniform in design and character, with manicured lawns and green grass yards and green grass for lawns. I mean, already this is ridiculous. The idea that you couldn't have that you could control it so that there weren't going to be like birds and butterflies and shit in your yard. It's like that would be so devoid of life that it would probably be killing the people who lived there. And Krellin, you said, I'm in a condo now, so the HOA is inevitable. Yeah. And I mean, like, in something like a condo where you all kind of like share ownership of this building together, you do need to come together to say, share costs for basic building maintenance and make decisions about, you know, do you want to let something like Airbnb come in? And how do you feel about sort of these sorts of things, and what do you want to do about the fact that people always let their dogs piss in front of the building or whatever? And so I think in those kinds of ways, it can be a way of like collective community power and organizing. And I think that a lot of the time they get really out of hand. We'll find out more. I still just can't. You're not supposed to. You have to use. So this is implying without the use of pesticides is a problem, and is contrary to the overall design scheme. And they all have to be uniform in design. And yeah, Lo-Fi Prince, my HOA erected an electrified dome to prevent these things. Yeah. Is that, or are you saying for real, or are you saying like this is what they could do? Because I could believe that this like somebody went this far. Um, yeah, attorney Sean Suhar used quotes around words and concepts he apparently viewed as suspicious, such as garden, and wrote disparagingly of the Crouch's environmentally sensitive agenda. Because if you do anything other than a super cookie cutter same thing, it must mean that you have an agenda. And this is one of the larger things with talking about like community consent and autonomy and freedom is like having cohesion in a community being able to say like here are the boundaries of who we are and what we want to a certain extent is normal and natural. And there also need to be laws to protect against certain kinds of things, like saying we only want white people in this community, right? Because that's the same kind of creating a identity boundary and all of that. And there's some things we want to give people the ability to do, and there's some things where we want to say, yeah, this is going to normalize some shit we're not comfortable with. And Lo-Fi Prince, I'm glad you're joking, but yes, it feels pretty close to the truth. And, you know, being able to have group identity can be really important and really healthy, but we don't want to do it under the idea of there's no other options. And we always have to be careful of the more cohesive we try to make our identity, we have to be aware of what are the things that we are taking as default, what are the things we're normalizing, what are the things that we are not even recognizing that we're normalizing. This is also really relevant to the Sunday streams that we've done where we've had discussions of porn, where we're like very sex positive about it. Like porn has always existed. It will probably always continue to exist. People are always going to be interested in this kind of thing. It's a way to explore. It's a way to get to know yourself. It's a way to indulge in fantasy. And we also want to be mindful of where do we let this go? What do we normalize? What are the things that become, you know, something new and kind of niche, and then over time become the mainstream, and then over time become the default, and over time it becomes difficult to imagine anything else. Yes, you're absolutely right, Krellin. White people only is pretty much why homeowners associations outside of condos exist, at least historically. You know, it's one of those things where it's like square dancing being taught in American public schools literally was a white supremacist like counter to the rise of swing dancing and jazz music. And like square dancing was a type of traditional European dance that had basically died. Like no one really did it anymore. And it was brought back in this revival as like a more pure age, a way to get people to be like normal. I'm putting lots of air quotes if you can't see me. And to normalize these things. And it was done specifically as to be a counter against Black people and Black culture and things that were seen as threats. So and now square dancing is still taught in tons of American public schools, especially elementary schools, as a standard part of the curriculum. One elementary school I went to definitely had it, but I guarantee you, like most of the people who run the curriculum, the Department of Education, you know, in any state and even probably federally, are not necessarily even aware of this. Some people definitely are, but a lot of people aren't. And it's just because people forgot its origin, they then tend to create all kinds of like post hoc reasoning for why this is the norm and why this is the default. It's the same with we see with like the progression of humiliation themes becoming really mainstream in pornography, where it's like that used to be one niche genre, And now it's very normal and kind of the default. And when you look at people trying to talk about cultural analysis there, they often start to say things like, well, this is just human nature. We want this kind of thing. And it's like, well, actually, there's like a really particular history. So knowing your history is a huge part of like having more liberty and more autonomy and everything. Okay, so yeah, environmentally sensitive agenda. The law firm's letters displayed a seemingly boundless ignorance by trying to demonize my sister and her husband for adding plants which grow back every year. Like, absurd, right? Misplaced and misspent priorities is the next section. Throughout this process, there was virtually no opposition from politicians, and even the National Association representing HOAs supported the legislation. When we testified for the bill the first time at last year's hearing, the curmudgeonly delegate who'd voted against our other environmental proposals that day surprised us all by asking who wouldn't support pollinator gardens. So this is also one of those things where when you're kind of operating a little bit in a vacuum and you have a lot of like unchecked power and there's no sort of like leadership or power accountability processes like there was sort of on the day-to-day operations of this local HOA, these people can start to think that their very niche opinions are incredibly mainstream. And then as we can see when the bill was put forward, even people who were like you would think would be against it were very in support of it, probably to the shock of the people who would send out the original sort of cease and desist type letter to these people saying you got to rip up all your trees and shrubs and native plants and put down grass, right? So his question was more than rhetorical for my sister. Janet's HOA board was so unsupportive of pollinator gardens that it paid the law firm of Nagel and Zaller about $100,000 of the community's money, made up entirely of homeowners' dues, to try to get rid of the one in my sister's yard. Read more about the previous class action lawsuit by Maryland's residents against Nagel and Zaller. If you're interested, you should check this out. Until this case, I thought I had heard it all during my years of habitat consulting and advocacy work from frustrated gardeners who couldn't even grow moss for nesting birds, baffled homeowners who'd been fined for leaving pine cones under their trees, and devastated bird and butterfly advocates who'd been forced to mow down their wildflowers. But it turned out I hadn't heard the half of it yet, and it was about to get personal. And then we have a really, really great picture here of a squirrel. And it says, below the squirrel, even squirrels were not spared from the HOA's diatribes, which blamed my sister's garden for their presence. But these little animals are tree dwellers. They are endemic to the Beech Creek community, which is adjacent to forested parkland. Maple trees and oaks such as those planted by developers along the streets are perfect squirrel habitat. I mean, like, this is similar to just trying to say that you shouldn't have, any of the birds in the trees in Stardew Valley, or like you could somehow make it so there were never going to be any frogs in the grass. Or it's like there are lots of species that are essentially, co-species with us. Like anywhere in the world humans go, rats and pigeons follow. Like they are very symbiotic with us, whether we like it or not. They just come with us. They follow us around the world. It's part of also how we kind of sort of cats domesticated themselves because they were like, hey, if I keep following these humans, I got like an endless supply of rats and pigeons for me. And they give me warm places to stay. Yeah, crows as well. Absolutely. Silly Millie. Absolutely. Crows definitely are in the same genre of things. And depending where you are in the world, squirrels would also be very similar. You see squirrels even in like downtown New York and Boston. And it's because they have adapted over time to thrive within the kinds of environments we create. And I do want to take this one opportunity to talk about how like people really have this binary thinking of like city versus nature, but I do want to stress that there's no such thing as not nature. Like we create built environments, but that is still part of nature. It's part of our behavior, our nature. I would argue that anything humans do is within human nature, because It's just something that we do, and we're very adaptable, and we try lots of things. It's part of our nature. And we, create these environments, and nature comes with us. There's birds, there's bees, there's insects, there's, spiders that live in your house. There's all kinds of mammals that come with us. You can even find like, snakes and stuff sometimes in like little parks in the middle of a city because nature's always there with us. Adam Ruins Everything. It's a show that got canceled because of a conglomerate merger, but it was one of the best shows ever. And people would send me the show and say, "Hey, this is basically you," which I don't know if it was a compliment or, a little nudge critique. I think I'm a lot more like socially aware than the character of Adam on Adam Ruins Everything. A little bit more like socially thoughtful, but maybe just as cringy. Anyway, he had a really great episode on our binary thinking around nature and seeing it as something separate from us rather than something we are of. And yeah, and exactly. I see some good chats here. Paladin Hulk, welcome. Nature versus nurture, more like nature versus still nature. Yes. In like specifically in social sciences, the nurture part is more like environmental factors, and then nature part is things that are just completely inborn. But in how people use it in daily life, it really is both nature, is what people are talking about usually. Krellin, what we think of as the natural environment is largely the terrain favored by and designed by trees. Yes. Silly my Lithael. Yes, we talk about man versus nature, but we come from nature, therefore we are nature. And you remember that show, I'm glad. Verontor, a lot of this comes from the thought that man is above everything, including nature, and has the right to shape it. Yes. Hello, Dustin. Welcome. Paladin Hulk, you said, do you think that's a religion thing or a human thing? I think that's a fascinating question. I don't know if that's something we can really have an answer to because it could be something. I mean, we can look at cultures that don't have that way of thinking. There are plenty of tribes in North America, for example, that didn't have that way of thinking. So if it really were just purely a human thing, as an innate thing, we would see it kind of across the board, which we have seen kind of across the board of like, generally speaking, cities historically across the world had similar kinds of organizing principles, and modern cities and modern suburbs are really, a diversion, or not a diversion, move away from that. But I would also say, I would say it's complicated. I would say that it's probably also within human nature to have shitty ideas. Silly Mylethiel, our insistence on binary thinking is frequently a problem for me. I didn't know if it is a problem with Socratic thinking or something else, but it bothers me a lot. Very little is binary. Absolutely. And Dustin, woohoo, I can finally subscribe. Thank you for subscribing. And Barantor, well, religion is a human thing, so it's a human thing? That's, yeah, basically what I would say. And yeah, I would say that we talk, especially if you ever come to our Consent Basics class, we have one coming up next week on Tuesday. It's set for being European time, so it's morning Pacific time, and then it's 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Central European time. Our Consent Basics stuff is always free. It's on Zoom. Yes, Dustin, we got at least one emote. Technically, I can add like 7 more, but I haven't figured out how to do it yet. So I'm working on it. And anyway, it's we talk a lot about in our Consent Basics classes about binary thinking and how people tend to have this very binary thinking about things like consent as well. Like either everything is perfectly 100% consensual or it's like a crime. And especially if we think about something like sex, yes, for sure, it can be a crime or 100% consensual. Most of the time, when we're talking about like the general range of of daily human experience of like what we're usually trying to talk about, it's always about some exploration, and there's always some things that are a little a little consensual and a little not consensual, and a little, you know, things that need to be adjusted and explored, and discovery is part of consent as well. It doesn't have to be this perfect binary. And I think that's one of the things that scares people about talking about consent is they become so sure, if I don't perfectly prearrange everything, I'm a bad person and I've caused the worst harm possible. When a lot of the time it's like, it's there's certainly cases where it is like very clear this was a thing that was not okay. And then most of the time, it's always kind of gray. We try to talk about the inherent grayness of consent a lot. And silly my lithial, I'm so glad you plan to be there. With any of our Zoom classes, you don't have to have your camera or your mic on. You don't have to participate at all. We try to be really consensual about it. You can just chill out and listen. You don't have to do anything. And yes, Dustin, the pressure to invent new emoticon icons is real. I keep being like, I've got Grit, Gimp, and Krita and stuff. I should just like spend a couple of days, and then I'm like, listen, I don't have time for that. But yeah, okay, so let's keep reading this article. For the people who just joined, we're reading this article about butterflies versus homeowners associations as a way, before we start playing Stardew Valley today. I've been sick, I didn't have time to prepare as much, but this story is really good. And basically the story is these people had like a garden that was for native wildlife, it was native plants, and the homeowners association like tried to sue them because they were like, oh, having squirrels in our neighborhood is a violation and you're not allowed to do that, and like blamed them for things. Anyway, it's ridiculous. Okay, the entire case against the Crouches was built on the complaints of one neighbor whose scarce smattering of plants included Japanese barberries, which, like many shrubs grown outside their range, are environmentally harmful, and whose lawn is filled with blue chemicals that I have filmed running down toward the wooded stream filled park during rainstorms. He also hired, so, you know, obviously this is like, this article has a perspective, and just blanketly saying blue chemicals, like, we tend to toss out the word chemicals as like this blanket bad thing, but like, yes, technically everything is a chemical. We don't have to go too pedantic about it all. But as we've talked about before, like, soil is this really intense living thing, and like the nitrogen cycle, for example, in soil is really essential, and we've kind of really screwed the whole thing up globally. And I think I even have here in my sources, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, peak soil, industrial civilization is on the verge of eating itself. This is a really good article that talks about what we've done to destroy soil. Also a good time to shout out the nonprofit based in Oregon, Build Soil. They are an internet friend of mine, pretty cool dude, really focused on how do we prepare our local ecosystems for climate destabilization. They're not totally just about like we should only plant native plants, because their main idea is that like some plants that are not native to a region can still be quite beneficial, and we're not sure how biomes are going to shift as the climate shifts. And so we need to create like food networks and sustainable networks of plants and biodiversity so that as things shift, it is more robust and more flexible. And he's really focused on planting chestnuts, because chestnuts, one, can become this really essential staple food and replace things like grain, and rice, which require a lot more land, a lot more resources to get at sort of population level needs. But then also chestnut trees themselves help to build up healthy soil. Yes, silly my lithial, I also want to become soil when I die. Sometimes I think about those like cool pods that you can get that have like mushrooms like the mycelium network around them, and you can like be buried in that. I basically want to do that, or be composted. Okay, so he also hires pesticide sprayers routinely and accuses the Crouches of attracting mosquitoes, even though his eroded lawn pools with standing water and provides perfect mosquito habitat. One of the most ludicrous complaints of all from this man, whose property and entire neighborhood abuts forest where owls, foxes, squirrels, chipmunks, and many other animals live, was repeated in illogical screeds from the lawyers proclaiming that numerous squirrels are being attracted to the subject property. The neighbor sick, that this will affect their property. So the thing is, you can't keep nature out. Nature's going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to go where it wants to go. And, you know, we don't own it. We don't own the world. We can't just say, like, from this corner to this corner, no foxes are allowed. Like, it's their planet, too. They have the right to go. You know, and this is also a really good point about how when we get really disconnected from the land that we live on, when we become so disconnected from it, we don't even know how the land talks to us, how to listen to it. We don't know anything about the animals that live there and all of the different things that are alive. We can get some really sort of bizarre ideas. And this idea that like having a healthy, balanced little ecosystem would be the main driver of a mosquito population versus standing stagnant water is really foolish. Reverend Mort, no, it isn't. I engage in capitalism. This unemployed fox needs to respect my right to own property. Silly Mylothea, land ownership is still absurd to me. One of the Native American concepts I am most attached to. Yeah. I mean, for sure, it's very strange to me as well. I don't quite understand how it all works. Yeah, I mean, I don't really understand private property in many respects. Like, I accept it, but it doesn't like totally click in my brain all the time. All right, so then we've got this beautiful land. So here, a study in contrast. Years ago, the Crouches replaced their backyard lawn with ferns, sedges, violets, and other native plants that filter pollutants from stormwater runoff and help slow the flow into the adjacent woods and watershed. Yet the HOA at one point demanded that they return the patches to turf grass. The HOA did so at the behest of one complaining neighbor whose eroded lawn pools with rushing water after rainstorms. And then you can see here some pictures of like the contrast here. So here you can see this kind of blue powder that is put down on lawns is pretty common. It's like a pesticide and also a fertilizer, I think. And you can see this is probably the Crouch's lawn, and then this. And so this is one of those things that's really tough because we often talk about like my autonomy ends where your autonomy begins. You know, another way people often put it is like, I can throw my fist until your nose, basically. Though there's a big complicated thing, and I don't want to talk about the Oscars right now, or anything. But as you can see, like, you know, this person here on this side, they have their own ideas about how they want things to be, but they will inevitably be influenced by the things the Crouches are doing, and vice versa. So really disentangling where my autonomy ends and someone else's begins is really hard. And then this is just keeping it very narrow, not not even thinking about all the other living things that have autonomy here. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to go like militant vegan on you or anything. I'm not a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, occasionally pescatarian, and I care about the autonomy of all living things. And so I think we need to be considerate of this, of the impact that we have beyond ourselves. Reverend Mort, oh yeah, silly Mylothea, I'll start with you. I deal with the perversion of it and tolerate the mass of humanity, that the mass of humanity seems to view the world that way, but it makes me ill to think about. Reverend Mort, my law autonomy ends where your law autonomy begins. Yes. Krellin, swinging your fist in close proximity to someone's nose is literally the definition of assault. Yeah, if you actually hit the nose, that's battery. Yeah, I mean, so with Consent Academy, we don't operate like in tangent with the legal system. There's a huge gap between like where the individual person tends to live their life and where the legal system can and will be involved and what the legal system is actually capable of doing. And their definitions of things like justice and right. And I, from personal experience, can say I have never interacted with the legal system and it made my situation better off for it. Uh, like every time it's been worse, even when like I won the case or whatever, it was still kind of worse in the end. And Consent Academy, we're kind of filling this in between gap where there's like this huge gap between where most people live their lives and deal with consent and where the legal system can and maybe should enter. And so our framework in many ways ends up being counter to what some of the law says or what we want to talk about. So an example of this is in Washington State, for example, the law is very clear. You cannot give consent, especially to things like legal contracts or sex, if you've consumed any alcohol. Any. And our view is that like alcohol increases the risk of consent violation a lot. The more you reduce your capacity for a clear minded yes or no, both giving and receiving, the higher the risk. But the thing is, if we just came in and said, you can never give consent if you've consumed any alcohol, well, what about couples who are, say, alcoholics, where their whole shtick is basically getting really drunk together and having sex, or like misadventures, or like hanging out and watching, Netflix or whatever? We wouldn't want to come in and say to them, nothing in your relationship is consensual, because also that's probably not true. What we try to say is it's going to just increase the risk tremendously. So you have to be aware of that. And our whole definition of consent comes from its etymology, literally with feeling, con, meaning with. Sent is the same word as like sentiment, and sentir in French, which means to feel. So it's with feeling. And if your consent was violated or not is not about like legal, prescriptive, whatever. It's did it feel correct or not? And that gets into the whole binary thinking of like good versus bad, because if I say this violated my consent, it doesn't immediately mean this other person's a horrible human being and should die or whatever, or unalive. That was referencing YouTube's terms of service. I think that some of my videos might get taken down from YouTube on occasion because I say things. Anyway, it's more to say that it requires more discussion. Yeah. And then you can see here the sort of the slope of the neighbor's back garden where there's a lot of erosion. There is a set of like indigenous plants protect places from flooding because they tend to root deeper and their roots tend to hold better for the type of soil that exists where they're from. And there needs to be like a diversity of plants to create different types of root systems to prevent erosion, to prevent flooding, to prevent mudslides. I mean, this is also like a safety issue long term. This also helps prevent things like sinkholes. It also helps prevent mosquito-borne illnesses. Reverend Mort, yes, I'm gonna unalive you sounds like a robot attempting to make a threat. Yeah. And then you can say here, like, here's this sort of stagnant pool, and turf, as it says here, lacks the deeper root structure that a mixed native planting can provide. Yeah. So let's read a little further. No laughing matter. Claims of squirrel takeovers may sound laughable, but since 2017, it has been no laughing matter for Janet, who poured her heart into saving the garden that has offered so much solace to her family and so much habitat to the community's birds and other wildlife. My sister followed all that standard advice about working with HOAs. She posted small bird-friendly garden signs, like this one here, humane backyard, plants for birds, which she was immediately told to remove despite the HOA's sanctioning of cost and pesticide signs in other yards. She distributed newsletters explaining her case, but even the many supportive neighbors were afraid to speak out for fear of reprisal. So here's two really good points here, is we often think don't think about sort of like mundane daily structural violence, right? So we're completely okay with destroying habitats that threaten, not only human life in the long term, but all the lives of all the other, like literally our relatives, right? We're related to everything on the planet that's alive and some things that are not alive if you count things like viruses. We're all family, basically. They're all of our relations, and we're just completely cool with like not providing space for them and taking away life and taking away biodiversity, which again threatens us in the long term. But we don't bat an eye at pesticides, where if you or your pets or your children come into contact with them, can have like liver damage, especially over time. And we don't see anything wrong with either of these things. And this is I like Zizek's definition of violence, which is the removal of choice through force or the threat of force. When people hear the word violence, they often just think of physical violence, but I also think it's really good to think about other types of violence. And so here, this is an example of many levels of structure where we have removed choice through force or threat of force, both in terms of bodily autonomy and health, and long term, like if I don't want my body to be exposed, I've got a lot of health problems. And so things that would require my body to work extra hard to remove them from my body, I don't necessarily want to be exposed to. But if I'm living in this kind of neighborhood, I have no choice here. I'm not allowed to say to my neighbor, hey, please don't put pesticides down because my liver can't handle it. I will basically be told to stop being such a whiny bitch or whatever. And we also have things here where even the many supportive neighbors were afraid to speak out for fear of reprisal, which means that these people have had their choice limited because they believe there is a threat of force. They believe there is reprisal. So this is one of the other things that gets really tricky in consent. People can get really lost in this idea of like, if I say, well, this person could have said no to me at any time, the question still remains, did they know and believe and feel, like in their bones feel, that they could say no to you and it would be safe? And this is where things get really tricky. Again, we have to get away from the good bad binary of either everything is perfect consent all the time or you're the worst human scum to ever have existed. We're not talking about that. But people can get really lost in the like, well, this person could have said no. But if they don't feel that they could, they don't feel like they actually have a choice, then they really couldn't. Because a lot of this stuff is very nebulous and about feelings. Thank you, Dutubron, for linking the article. So in preparation for a hearing process in 2018, we prepared many documents and photos, only to arrive and discover it was all a sham. Suhar, the HOA lawyer, immediately told my sister to shut up when she tried to speak and yelled at me to be quiet. At the same time, he invited the single complaining neighbor to run down an angry and baseless list of supposed transgressions that included calling her cherry in the backyard a trash tree, describing non-existent 10-foot cranes and 6-foot butterflies in the garden. I hope that this is true. The biases became strikingly clear when the board allowed the complainant to yell, "I'm out of here," and storm away from the building and back to his vacation without even staying to have a discussion or hear my sister or her husband's presentation. There are no statues of 6-foot butterflies in the garden, as the neighbor testified in the hearing, but there are real butterflies on the plants the HOA described as wild and unapproved. This monarch seems very much to approve of the Joe Pye weed, which is not wild at all. It's a cultivated plant purchased at a local garden center. The level of ignorance, unprofessionalism, and lack of common courtesy and decency was astonishing, and it continued to be on flagrant display for years. Many times over the past 3.5 years, Janet has watched people pull up in front of her house and take pictures. The security camera she installed captures the harassment tactics. I mean, maybe sometimes the pictures are because people are like, wow, this is a really beautiful garden. But I also imagine that it's a lot of pressure. In court depositions in 2020, the HOA's hired gun continued his attempts at unchecked bullying through inexplicably lengthy and meaningless lines of questioning, putting my sister and her husband through exhaustive interrogation simply because he could, and all because they dared to plant a garden for butterflies. So this is also an example of like simply because he could. Now remember, power is something that generally speaking people are given by a structure, by other people with power, by circumstance, by action. And this person is being given the power to do these things. And power over other people tends to have this kind of effect where it tends to be non consensual. It tends to be, it encourages abuse of power. You can have power over, you can have power with, and you can also do empowerment. And one of the counters to having too much power over, or if you're like, say, trying to have sex with someone and there's a huge power differential between you and them, is to give them more no's. Give them the opportunity to say no more times and really respect and thank and acknowledge those no's when you get them. And then, because that's one of the other things about like, did they know that they could say no to you? People often know, well, like, I know my intentions, therefore I know I'm trustworthy. But to be worthy of trust takes time and evidence. We often have this assumption that because we know our own intentions, we know that we are deserving of trust. But the thing is, it's not so simple as all that. Anyway, but unfortunately, there was no law against such abusive behaviors, nothing to prohibit HOAs from acting in a kind of Wild West arbitrary fashion towards gardens and nature and people who love them until now. Becoming a force of nature. Others had a significant and influential hand in the getting this momentous bill passed, of course. Hill's former legislative director, Mary Catherine Cochran, originally responded to Janet's plea for help by drafting the legislation modeling it on a previous successful HOA-related bill. Co-sponsors Terry Hill and Jessica Feldmark ensured that they had the support from the Community Associations Institute, which provided written testimony in support of the bill. Here we have a picture of the three sort of women at the center of all of this. On the legal side, many people expressed interest in testifying as expert witnesses in Janet's court case, but few could ultimately commit, sometimes because their employers prohibited such involvement. Also, for serious, why do employers have the right to dictate what we do outside of work in this kind of manner? If it's something where like the position of power and authority you get from your workplace is being abused or you're using your proximity, ad time. I'm gonna take a drink break. Fortnite ad, ambulance movie ad. Interesting, interesting. All right, I'm gonna get the game running while y'all wait. Stardew Valley. Credit Karma, Toyota, Chipotle, H&R Block. Bronter, your ads are done. Back. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry my Nightbot's ad warning came after the ad started. But anyway, thank you for letting me know they started Krellin and everybody else. All right, let's finish up this article real fast. Basically, I was saying employers, if you were using your proximity to your employer or like the type of job you were doing as a way to abuse power, sure, I think it makes sense for employers to sort of monitor. Or like if you're in a position of power, hello, Aradin. We've been reading an article about homeowners associations. Um, anyway, this is all just like complicated stuff. So we will be eternally grateful to wildlife biologist John Hadidian, native nursery expert Rob Jenkins, and realtor Christy Neidhart for their wisdom, insight, and bravery in signing on to help with the case. Most of all, Jeff Konstroff and Matt Skipper of Skipper Law, these are a lot of complicated last names, took on what most lawyers considered to be an unwinnable issue. Konstroff's skill and thoughtfulness was matched only by his quiet dedication to doing what's right, helping David against the aggressive tactics of a loudmouthed Goliath. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize my kitty was in the room with me. I thought I shut them both out. She must have been sleeping in a little cat box area. All right, so basically, this person says it's easy to become overwhelmed by the forces against nature. My sister has taught me that you can change those tides by becoming a force of nature. So this is a bigger message that I think is really important, is that a lot of the time we can feel really demoralized when we think about trying to fight back against things like climate change or trying to create positive change in our communities or trying to, I don't know, do anything good for the world. But I really want to stress that that's part of the ploy to make it so we don't. Sorry, you're getting ads now, Aradin. And really, there are people who would support you. Not everybody, not all the people you would like, but you can get support. And there's lots of cool stuff that you can do. So anyway, let's put this down for now. And I want to go over to some gameplay time. I got the game started. Is it? No, there we go. I was like, is it not recognizing that the game is going? Oh, worries. Let's see, okay, that looks like a good size. I'm gonna turn down the brightness of my monitor. It's a little too bright when I have the game open. My kitten hopefully will not stomp all over everything on my keyboard. But thank you all for reading that with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Aletta was so kind as to put the link into the chat so you can check it out more on your own later. Yep, my cat is sitting on everything. She is super, super cute. She likes to sit on my laptop and especially my USB ports and break them. Both my cats do. Anyway, let's get to playing the game. We're gonna go back to Castle Farm. I'm gonna turn the volume down a little bit. No, which one's the volume down button on my computer? This way, yes, okay. So we're gonna go back to Castle Farm. I really enjoyed reading the article with you all. I really enjoyed getting to talk about these issues. I enjoyed that you all were patient with me wanting to do something kind of weird and different, just like read an article out loud on stream. But it's a good article. And I appreciate y'all being really patient with the fact that I've been kind of sick this week. So the other thing, I'm sick cowboy this week, basically. Last time we talked about, oh, Dustin, you say Colorado HOAs are actually able to foreclose on people. They have 60 families getting evicted right now, and I thought I saw an article that Colorado is writing a new law to ban the practice. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah. My kitty's just staring at me. Staring at me. I usually put them both out because they get so rambunctious and everything. Oh, you'd encourage me to do more of those types of chats. Just reading an article and chat. I mean, that sounds nice because it feels like low pressure. Why is this taking so long to load today? Thank you, Aradin, for saying you hope I start to feel better. Me too. I thought I was feeling a lot better, and then I just didn't. Robin, the local carpenter, lives north of town. I built an Yes, I did it. Okay, let's see if it's gonna be a lucky day. Is it gonna be a lucky day? Very happy today. Okay, I haven't bought any chickens or anything yet. Oh my goodness, look at all of these blueberries to harvest. I've got so much money now. It's great. This game is coming together. Yes. I gotta water these plants and harvest some things. Let's do it. Let's get these blueberries. Yes, look at all of this. I can't wait to have lots of in-season blueberries. I love to eat. I know I've been talking about blueberries the last few times. I love to eat blueberries. They're just so good. And they're one of those things where, like, sometimes I like to boredom eat. There's a really good phrase for it in Japanese called kuchi sabishi. Kuchi is mouth and sabishi means lonely. So it's pretty intuitive. It means that your mouth is lonely. Um, and Yes, Reverend Moore. I've got so much money now. It's great. I see Aria has started to fall into the dark side now that they've become a successful streamer. Yes, it's true. I have fallen to the dark side. I mean, there are very anti-capitalist things about this game, and then there's some things that are very capitalistic about this game. Like, fundamentally, because you own a farm, you're both selling your labor, but you're also part of the owning class, right? Like, you don't hire farm hands or anything, but you do get to have money from owning stuff. It's kind of complicated. Like, being a farmer is kind of this thing. You're not just like profiting off of doing nothing, but then, like, yeah. Anyway, it's not a perfect game, but it's pretty close. Um Look at the dog. The dog is just always so excited. Yeah, and you inherit it, right? And it's like the only reason why you're able to escape the soul crushing reality of working for Joja Mart is because of intergenerational wealth, which increased your liberty and ability to make decisions for yourself. So your agency. um, yeah, yeah. Didn't work to earn the land. And, like, I think that you can have relationships to land that aren't just like I'm gonna go do some scavenging on the beach. Look at all these trees growing, it's nice. I don't have nearly enough energy yet as just like a person in this game or in real life to chop down all these trees. But let's just see. Did anything wash up on the beach? Doesn't look like it. Lots of butterflies, though. I mean, that neighbor in that article would be so angry that all these butterflies existed. Um, oh, so angry. Um, so I also want to just say, I'm going to be honest, and I think most suburbs are horribly depressing, like hideous, devoid of life, uh, suffocating, and like how cookie cutter they are, and how similar they are. Just everything. I don't know. Strong Towns, the people I've repped a bunch of times, has a really good thing on their YouTube channel about why. I'm gonna save this. I can give this to Mara Lewis because he likes those, and I'm gonna. What do I need for the community center? Do I need these for the community center? No, it's the gold. Yeah, I'm so tired. I'm like really enjoying chilling out with all of you, but I'm like so tired. I just feel still days later, my brain is just not connecting fully. So I'm going to save these blueberries and sell the rest because I want to start making blueberry wine soon. And then what else we're gonna? I just want to go to the mines today. Why do I have these things in here? What was I doing? I don't remember anything. What was I doing is the eternal question that I ask myself constantly. I'm just like, whoa, what was going on? Yeah, don't forget to build the silo. That one's really important. I don't remember what I need for the silo, but I'll do it on my way. I'll just grab all this stuff. I don't need that much wood. Um, and then this, and then this. Yes. Yes. Actually, let me look it up. Let me look up what I need to do to build the silo. Stardew Valley silo. Because I want to take just what I need so then I can pay for it and then I can go to the mines, not have all that stuff on me. It'll be great. I need 100 stone, 10 clay, and 5 copper bars. Okay. So, so then I want, no, 100 stone. Oh my goodness. Whatever. I can take that. 5 copper bars and then 10 clay. This will be fine because then I'll just get more of this other stuff. I do need some food though, because I don't have too much energy today. Silly Mylethiel, you said, I constantly wonder what I was just doing. It is worse when I find myself miles from home and I can't remember why I'm there. Yeah, Reverend Mort. After the silo, don't forget to build the bunker, the bomb shelter, the gun store, and the shrine to the real parts of the Constitution. This is the Sovereign Citizen Simulator. Yeah. Oh man, have I ever told you all that like, so my stepdad is like a hardcore prepper, and we had to do this whole training like camp course thing for Y2K when I was a kid, and we had this bunker under a house full of things, but it was always the most like insane shit. Like we had so many crystals and we had tons of frosting because my stepdad was like, we can barter with this for guns, and I was like, or the people with guns are just gonna shoot us and take our shit, so like maybe we should get guns ourselves if we're gonna go down this route. And yeah, anyway, it was great times as a kid. Heard a lot about lizard people. I learned a lot about lizard people. Not necessarily always from my parents, but sometimes the people we were living with. A lot of people. Barter cake frosting for gun. Yeah, I mean, it's just a good time. It was a good childhood. I mean, like, it was pretty fun. What do I have here that will actually give me any energy? I like don't have very much. I'm gonna take these tomatoes. That's fine. Guns for stick. It's pretty great. Yeah, it was genuinely pretty great. It was a very fun childhood. I enjoyed it. I did well. One of the people that we lived with was convinced that my stepfather was a lizard person and just didn't know it because of the ridges on his skull. I am not even joking. We were living in a barn, like this tiny little room in a barn, because we were temporarily homeless because our landlord found out my mom was pregnant, didn't want to have to remove the lead paint in the house, and so sold the house without telling us. So then we were homeless and we didn't have the money for moving into any place else. We just didn't have the money for like first and last. We didn't have the money for the deposit, nothing. So we were homeless, and we lived in a church for a little while, and then we lived in our friend's barn, and then we lived in a shack in someone's backyard, aka a tiny house. All right, I'm going to Robin because I'm gonna get, oh my goodness, I can walk. Anyway, I told my family that I seceded from the union because I wasn't down to continue to live in one tiny room with my very pregnant mother, my stepfather, my brother, and our dog and 3 cats, or 2 cats. I was like, I'm good. I'm out of here. So then I moved into, I can't do it right there because of that, but this will be okay because then I can still get behind and I can put a second one later in front of it. This will be perfect. So anyway, I went and lived in one of the tree houses. That was some of my childhood. I had a fun childhood. It was cool. It was weird. I got to say hello to my buddy Linus. I have to beware of strangers. Most people don't like a wild man. I like a wild man. You seem like a cool dude. I want to get one of those vans, those like panel vans, and like get an airbrushed wizard on it, like the wizard from this game, and then just live in a van down by the river. Sounds like a good time. Okay, let's see. I got some good things in chat. That sounds like the Reverend Mort. You say that sounds like the prequel to a show about a top-tier cake decorator who fools the post-apocalypse with their realistic, good-shaped cakes. I love it. Reverend Mort, as someone who just did psychology homework on the harmful effects of past theories, ridges on his skull gives me some phrenology warning signs. Oh yeah, I mean, there's like a straight connection between a lot of contemporary conspiracy theories and a ton of really fucked up historical stuff. Aradin, but everyone knows that bottle caps are going to be the currency after the apocalypse. Absolutely. And silly, my lithial people had so much more interesting childhoods than I had. Yeah, you know, my childhood was just weird. Mostly it was just weird. But it was fun. It was fun times in the weird worlds of, I don't know, just people being really weird. Oh yeah, I'm gonna fight a ghost. Ghost. And a slime. Oh my god, there are two slimes here. Oh my goodness. And a ghost. I can do it. I'm just gonna swing, and I gotta try to time it right. Oh gosh, now they're on other sides of me. I gotta move out of the way so I can kind of get them all lined up. I really gotta get a new sword. Did I kill that ghost or did it just disappear on me? Wow, this is a lot of enemies on this level. All right, all right. Tiburon, it was illegal, but we didn't have any means to do anything about it. Like, we were too poor to move someplace else, so we didn't have the money to go to fight him in court either. So, wow, this is overrun with enemies. All right. I'm gonna kill this little slimy up here that's pinned against the wall, and then I'm gonna see if I can escape the rest of them. Oh gosh, they're coming for me. They're coming for me. Little soot sprites, ghost. Oh my goodness. This is a challenge. Okay, ghost. We're gonna finish this fun once and for all. I'm gonna get you. If you don't keep running away from me. Get over here, ghost. Get over here. Yeah, I'm gonna get you. Woo! It takes so long to fight these things. Yeah, you're right. I did need a new sword last time, silly Mylithiel. I forgot about it. I'll get one today though, or not today in the game, but today is Tuesday. Yes, a solar essence. I think I need that for the community center. Or maybe I need the void essence now. Oh, bat too. This will be great though because I need like 100 bat wings and a bajillion slime and stuff for the community center. So this will be good. I'm not probably gonna get down another level. Oh wow, that little soot guy. I gotta eat some tomatoes before I get hurt. Let's eat some tomatoes. Let's eat some tomatoes. Yeah. Reverend Mort, the David Icke line of thought is pretty close to the inferior, let me read this, race because Skullbump's line of thought, yeah. Also unrelated, but as someone who's endlessly fascinated and utterly fond of conspiracy theories, it was hilarious watching someone defending Alex Jones with the line of, why does people complain about Alex when David Icke still talks about reptile overlords? And my immediate thought was, didn't Alex have Ike go on to talk about coronavirus? Listen to yes. I mean, like, when I was a kid, I really liked conspiracy theories. I didn't believe any of them, but I just found them fun. And like my stepdad, from the day I met him, like I was like 9 or 10, and he bought me a copy of the National Enquirer, which for those who don't know is like a conspiracy theory tabloid magazine that pretends to be a newspaper. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get him. This will be okay. Sweet. This is a pretty full dungeon today. It's a very lucky day, but even still, it's a lot of things I have to fight. Oh my goodness. All right. Yes, there's a way down though. All right, well, I made it 5 more levels. I'm gonna see what y'all have to say in chat. Okay. Dishuburn, you said you think I already gave the solar essence. Nice. I think so. I couldn't remember which I had done. I think I need a void essence then. It's really easy to find out. But yeah. Okay, definitely before I come back to the mines, I'm gonna need to get a better sword. I should have enough money for that now, which is nice. I definitely forgot to bring torches, so I'm gonna grab one now just in case. Get away from me, ghost! How did you do that? Why did you teleport away from me? Oh my goodness. These ghosts are so difficult to fight because they just move so slow. And oh, and then there's a bat coming. Oh my goodness. Okay. So many. So many. I'm gonna try not to die in the mines. We'll see though. We'll see. I'm facing the wrong direction somehow. Oh man. Yeah, I got the bat. All right. All right. Don't kill me, ghost, please. Eat the bread. Heal myself. Not enough, but better than nothing. Let's see if I can get this ghost. Oh my goodness, it just takes too long. It takes too long. Yes, I got stairs. Okay, gotta go fast. Frozen geode, nice. Oh, there are stairs, but I'm gonna get this aquamarine real quick. Oh no, it was a diamond. Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize. Oh my goodness. Diamond it was. That's exciting. Ooh, mixed seeds. Iron ore. Let's see. This is a pretty good day. Pretty good day in the mines. Good haul. Oh yes, another set of stairs. Or a ladder. I guess it's not stairs. So yeah, I want to think about healthy communities. So we've been talking a lot about like, economic aspects of community. And then today we read that article and we talked about some sort of legal things and power and autonomy. But like, what would y'all's ideals communities actually be? Like if you could recreate how your community is shaped, and I mean like geographic community, um, what would it look like to you? Like what would you actually want? I think a lot of people I've met have said who've played Stardew Valley say that they feel like it's pretty ideal. And I would definitely agree with the title that I put for today, which is like yes, I get a treasure chest. What am I gonna get? Crystal dagger. Is that better? I hope so. I hope so. Let's see. Ooh. 4 to 10 damage versus 4 to 8 damage. Yeah, let's check this out. Let's check this out. Let's see what we think about this. Let me see. Look how fast I can go. Reverend Mort, you said, pretends if people on Twitter have taught me anything, it's that wild speculation about Kennedy fighting aliens is 100% legit journalism. If it wasn't, why would those people get airtime on Fox? Oh, it's sad but true. It's sad but true. Okay. Okay, I can't do the sweeping arcs anymore, which is a little bit of a problem because I kind of benefit a lot from being able to sweep, but this is definitely more powerful of a weapon. Yes, did you see how much faster I killed that slime? Yes, I'm gonna get the ghost. So eventually, I'm eventually gonna get the ghost. You gotta just wait. So a lot of people say like they think that Stardew Valley would be an ideal healthy community. And I mean what I say where I think like doing the community center, oh my goodness, I really hope I don't die. Ugh, to get away from me, ghost. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm just gonna leave the mine because my health is too low and I don't have enough food. Did I get anything that can go to the community center? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I need to get a crystallarium so that I can grow diamonds. But that's like oh, I just missed it. Ugh. That's like a long way off. Better sword time? Yeah, silly Mylithiel, I tried, but it just closed. I thought I was gonna make it in time. Tomorrow. Yeah, grow jade because then I can buy stairs. Yes, Kettlestick. Hello, Kettlestick. Welcome. Um, Yeah. Yeah. So what would people think of as an ideal community? I don't think I've gotten any jade yet, so I can't necessarily grow jade, but alrighty. Let's put some stuff in to this dude and then the doodle bops. I'm gonna just toss all that up there. I got a diamond, got a solar essence. Nice. This crystal dagger is a lot more powerful. Um, Even though I don't love it, I'm gonna leave it there. Let's see. There's all fishy stuff. Why do I have dirt in here? Clay. Okay. Yep. 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 Um, all right, y'all have some things to say. Um, Reverend Mort, I mean, if it topples the diamond industry, go for it. Yeah, I mean, like lab grown diamonds are just as good. It's just people pretend like they're not. I don't know. Um, Paladin Hulk, whatever society we create, it will have humans and therefore be flawed. I mean, this is true. And I'm not trying to talk about like perfect. Like, I think that whenever I read about any kind of utopia, the first thing I think about is like how much violence would have had to precede it, physical or otherwise, in order to get that level of sameness, right? Like, when I read a book like Brave New World, and I'm like, there are no, like, my cultures are gone and they don't exist anymore. Like there is a reservation and it's kind of like half Hopi, half Navajo, half Pueblo. I mean, a third kind of mixture, but I doubt there's a like large number of different native tribes left. So I'm like, whoa, my people would be gone. The Irish would also probably be gone. Grand project of the English. So then I think about how, like, in this, what would it take to achieve this utopia? How much violence would there need to be to create that sort of, you know, homogenization? So I'm not pro that, but just what would you want? Silly Mylithial, I don't know what an ideal community is, but I thought about my ideal community as in what I need from a community. Yeah. Uh, Krellin, I can't even conceive an ideal community. Definitely smaller than what we have now. Lo-fi prints with robotic space mining, you can crash any precious commodities market. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm definitely, you know, uh, I really like this book called Surviving the Future. I want to read some chapters of it at some point. But I still got to look up about how I can do that legally because it's, I think, a really important work about how we could make a future world that was actually good for everybody and was especially how we deal with things like long-term systemic change when we have to do sort of post-growth, when we can't really have economic growth the way we have anymore because we just don't have the energy surplus for it. And how are we going to make it a world that we're all still jazzed to be in and excited about and that is kind of doing good for all of us? And the book is, it is like a re-adaptation of the book Lean Logic, and it's really good. And I want to read it to all of you. All right, I'm gonna sleep for the night. Reverend Mort or Paladin Hulk. Oh gosh, there's so many of you said things. Erodin. I think the question is a utopia for who? Exactly. I totally agree with that. Paladin Hulk, I would want us educated on the importance of kindness, honesty, and selflessness, then to see what pushed through in the world. I think that's a really cool way to think about it. Like starting with what ideas and ideals would you want to have centralized, and then seeing what comes from that. I think that's a cool way to think about it. A cool way to like answer this question. Reverend Mort, people don't pretend $1 billion industry insists, and I think while there's a fair amount of sameness required to maintain any kind of social community with stability, the preferable forms of what would be in a situation in which people can choose and explore the sort of cultures and structures they wish to exist. But yes, violence existing makes that hard to achieve. Yeah. Lo-fi prints homogeny is never a utopia. Absolutely. Silly Mythale. For me, I need a community I can contribute to when I am feeling well, but can support me when I'm not feeling well. I need to love and be loved. I need and want cuddles, sexual and otherwise. I want frequent touch, but I want significant, meaningful conversation nearly every day. Same. I mean, that last bit is part of why I'm like, I love to stream and I get so hyped even when I'm sick because I love to talk to all of you and sharing ideas. And you all have so many interesting things to add. Silly Mythiel, I want to teach and learn. I want to engage in nature and life. Yeah. I mean, I think that I was watching this lecture from um, an First Nations elder who was talking about like healthy systemic social change within communities. And he was talking about how, we have these structures in communities that kind of get repeated over and over. And when those structures kind of go away, we recreate them. Spirits are mildly perturbed in other ways. And then thinking about how, like, a lot of kids joined gangs because of the need for social belonging. Oh, George needs a pepper. I will totally bring you a pepper, George. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. And look at these melons. I hope I get some gold melons. Please, gold melons. I got 2 already. Nice, nice. Am I gonna make it? I got 3. I think I got enough. I think I got enough. Oh, yeah, I definitely have enough because I got to 5 gold melons. Yes. And I got a pepper for George. Just gonna water these crops and I got missions. Missions. Um, I think that we need social belonging. We need a sense of shared identity. It doesn't have to be like a, you know, fascist or totalitarian sort of level of control to promote shared identity. There are lots of different ways we could create that with each other. I mean, I even just think about the sort of the efforts that Ash, my co-director, and I are trying to put into things like having a Discord and having this Twitch streams and having, because we would have people come to our classes and we had people who liked us and would make donations and support us on occasion, but we didn't really have a community around building consent culture. We didn't really have we would operate in communities and in subcultural spaces, but we didn't really build any kind of sort of other togetherness, which reminds me, we're looking at starting watch parties where we probably through our Discord. And if you're not part of the Discord, you can check out our Patreon for more information on that. And as I've mentioned previously, if the Patreon is cost prohibitive in any way, you can just email us and we'll talk about it and figure out something that works for all of us. I'm gonna just do one little check on the beach. Doesn't look like there's anything. Okay, cool. No, Reverend Word, I wasn't necessarily trying to do any kind of sexual euphemism, but I do see that I walked right into it. Okay, so these are going to the community center. These I'm going to save. These I'm going to save. I'm going to bring this pepper to George. Anything? Oh, I need gold corn, huh? All right. I think I need 5 gold corn, though. Oh, what? I need a gold blackberry? Oh, and I need a poppy. Let's see. What else do I need for the community center? Right, yep. I got those. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's Krellin 5 golden corn, so I'm not quite there yet. I'll put this one back. The email for us, I'll just put it in the chat. The Consent Academy at gmail.com. This is our main contact. So you can always email us there. I tried to put it on the Twitch panel, like a contact us button, but maybe I didn't save it when I did it. Oh, I do need a frozen tier. All right, Sebastian, you'll just have to wait for that one. I'll put the corn back because I don't have 5 yet. Let me just make sure. Anything else I have need to go to the community center? Oh, yes, maple syrup. I keep forgetting to bring that one. And every time I go, I'm like, oh, I have maple syrup. Why didn't I bring it? Okay. Oh, okay. Silly Methail. Well, if you need to email me in later, if any of you here want to email us about something, you can. Krellin, 4 silver eggs, 3 iron bars, 2 cracked geodes, and a silo that will store the hay. What? Oh, 5 golden. Oh, right. I was like, this sounds like you're singing the 12 Days of Christmas, but I'm so confused. And then I'm like, oh, but you are. You are. Um, I need more hardwood than I have currently. I should think about upgrading. Yeah, Krellin, you should write the 12 Days of Stardew now. And a partridge in a pear tree, right, Reverend Mart? And Silly Mythiel, your Twitch panel links to your contact us page on the website, and the contact us page is a submit form. Thank you for checking that. That submit form also goes to the same email address. It just makes it a little easier for us to know what people are emailing us about. Let me see. I'm gonna consider upgrading my axe, for example. I don't know. I need to upgrade something. I'm thinking about it. Um, have not upgraded my watering can, but it's not been really good for that yet. Let me see if it's supposed to rain tomorrow. I will bring my watering can in to be upgraded. No, not the fortune teller. I clicked on the wrong thing. Weather report. Storm is approaching. Yes. I'm gonna upgrade my watering can. Okay, I got so many missions today. I'm so excited. I gotta also water the dog bowl. Can't forget about that. Yes. Oh, yeah, spicy berry. Look at all these cute butterflies. It's a good day. And a grape. So, yeah, I think for me, with like an ideal community, I think it would be one where, um, everybody's identity was really respected. Definitely like what Paladin Hulk you were saying with like really valuing kindness, valuing knowledge and like learning and taking things slow intellectually sometimes. Like I think that yeah, valuing kindness I think is a big one. A place where we can all find meaning. George says, you took long enough. Well, it's good and spicy at least. Yay! Knee therapy. I'm sorry your knees hurt, George. Um, yeah, Silly Mythiel, it's definitely difficult to choose how much to support people on Patreon. I try the same thing. Um, okay. You all said upgrading your axe. Yeah. Barontor, it's always these strong desires in gaming of hopping fences and limits the game puts on you where you can go. Yeah, same. It should run, so it doesn't take 2 strikes to break up the rocks in the mine. I didn't bring my pickaxe, but I think right now one of my biggest limiting factors is that I don't have the ability to make food and I don't have very much to eat. And watering my plants every day takes so much energy. So I think the watering can would be a good one, even though I only have fall and then winter would be a good time to upgrade it then too. But I think that this is what I'll do. I'll do watering can and then pickaxe because I got the luck of the storm coming. Um, because I think you're right. It's a tough decision. Silly Mythiel, you wrote, I got stuck. Yeah, okay, I read that one. Sword. Yeah, maybe I should go to the Adventurers Guild. It opens at 2, I think, and see about upgrade tools. Copper watering can. Yes. Yes, let's do it. Okay. This will be a big difference because I just run out of energy too fast these days. Aradin, you said my desires to support vastly exceed my financial reality. Yeah, it's really rough because there's so many Patreon people I would love to support. ooh, green algae, but I just don't have the money to do it. And I have to really be choosy. Yeah, so it's no pressure for anybody. I think I've mentioned before, mostly picked to do it through Patreon to kind of make it so that as we built up the community, we could keep it nice. Chef's bundle. Look at that. I got this and I got this. Uh, Fiddlehead Fern. That I can get in the Secret Woods. Truffles will be in fall, but I need a pig for that. Need to cook before I can do the rest of those. That's fine. That's fine. Apples, I should be able to get apples. I should. I should. That one's still a way off. That one's next month. This one's still a way off. This one, let's see. Oh, you just transitioned to living on your own. Congrats. How are you finding it, Salim Ithiel? Has it been interesting or stressful? Or both? Reverend Mort, you said, I question the lacking engagement or economic surplus of anyone who doesn't have this problem. In a comedic fashion, I'm sure there's an ethically engaged billionaire somewhere out there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough to have like so much desire to want to support and help people. So we definitely try to not pressure anybody. Um, goodness, goodness. So much fruit. Artisan bundle. I don't have any eggs, but soon I will. Fall crops bundle. Quality crops bundle. Yay! This one soon. But yeah. Okay. And then can I do anything in this room? We will see. It said it needed a blackberry for something. What is the blackberry? Oh, here. Okay. Fall foraging bundle. All right, all right. Winter foraging bundle. Exotic foraging bundle. Okay, okay. Yes. I just want this. I want to repair the community center so quickly. It's so good. It's the only way to win. See, this is one of the things is like, I want to have a healthy community that has a place where everybody has the ability to do things like engage in the arts and without the pressure to be like good or to be able to monetize it or to like meet some kind of standard, because I think that you should be allowed to just make art for art's sake, and the only way to do that is the community center. Silly Mithiel, you said it's still in the how does this work stage of things. That makes a lot of sense. I'm completely trying to change my life at the same time. That's a lot to do at once. So, more power to you, and I hope you can take it slow. And you said trying to overcome a decade of withdrawal from life, society, people, relationships, just everything. Yeah. My first boyfriend in college, he was like quite a bit older than me, like 6 years older than me when we met, and he had been in university for 6 years already, and he was already kind of a shut-in, and like I struggle with mild agoraphobia myself, so it can be difficult. And I know after he graduated, he never really left again, and I try to really keep in touch with him, but just over time he isolated even more. I mean, like, to be fair, I was like the only girl he ever dated, and we broke up and it made him really sad. So like I gotta wait 20 minutes to go in there. So I'm not really like, I don't judge him for not wanting to stay in touch with me. But I think about how when you become isolated like that, it's a lack of community. I don't know if you all saw John Oliver's newest episode on harm reduction. Definitely wish he had given a shout out to the org Dance Safe, because they do a lot of harm reduction work going into nightclubs and doing drug testing to make sure people's drugs are safe. All right, I need y'all's help to pick the sword. What sword do I want? Because I want one that can swing, and I want just a little stabby. Yeah, but losing community in the John Oliver, they were talking about how like addiction is the opposite of connection, and then it's worse when you like put people in prison because then they have even less connection. And I think a lot about how we need social connection and how we make it really hard for people to get it and keep it to begin with. I don't want the slow claymore. And then, yeah, it's just a lot. We need connection so much. Um, and connection doesn't have to be the same for everybody. Like, I'm not saying like we all need to have a group of 100 best friends we could do cocaine off of a park bench with. I mean, like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But like having ways of social belonging, which is what the community center in any real city would do if it was big enough and operated well. Um, yeah, Aradin, you said, yeah, I always tended to be more likely to stick to myself, but after the pandemic, I've become largely full hermit. Yeah, I mean, like I'm incredibly extroverted, but I also really like a lot of alone time, and I can get in like a whichever state I'm in, my brain forgets this is not the state I've always been in. Like it's the same with leaving the house. I'll be like in the house and I'm like, we've always been in the house. We don't need to leave. What is there to do outside? And then I leave the house and I'm like, I've never gone inside before. Why would I go inside now? I've just always been here. And like the state changes are really hard for me. And it's been hard as an extrovert to not do anything. But I also didn't have friends for most of my life at all. Um, Back to that whole like people said I was like Adam from Adam's Rooms Everything. There were times where I was actually in some ways that insufferable. Because being neurodiverse kind of comes with the territory. Anyway, um, what were we saying? Okay. Reverend Mort, you said that all of humanity is trying to change their life. Yeah, I agree. Krellin, on the one hand, I like that we get to pick our communities more these days than in the past. On the other hand, lots of people fall through the cracks when we do that. Yeah, and I think that when we didn't have the internet and when we didn't have as much ease of like geographical location change, we couldn't pick our communities as much. And I would say that in some ways, because there's this like idea that, oh, there always could be something better out there, or I could just move, or if I just don't like it here, I can just say whatever. It encourages us to not invest in positive social change, invest in getting to know each other, to build lifelong sort of social bonds. And I think that the internet is a perfectly appropriate place to make community. Like a lot of you came from my previous streaming community, and I really love that you're all here, and I love that I get to keep knowing you and getting to know you and like being friends and hanging out. And like I want everybody to feel that they have a sense of social belonging that is robust and is like could withstand massive social upheavals or big life changes. Silly Mithiel, you said, I spent the last 4 years hiding in a room by myself, lying on the floor for 23 and a half hours a day. I didn't even have good enough internet to connect with people online. That sounds intense. I hope that things are going better for you now. Um, Reverend Mort, no, but we do all need at least one best friend you can do cocaine off a park bench with. Yes. Silly Mithiel, this is a huge change, but a great chance to improve. Aradin, I always tend to do most of my socializing online. And Silly Mylithael, I feel like I went back to mispronouncing the name. I live in the cracks. I'm working on climbing out of the cracks. Yeah, I think it's gonna take work, and I want you to have all the support that you need. Okay, let's pick a weapon. I could just go with the Templar's blade. It's 4,000 though, and that's a lot. The Claymore is -4 speed, and I'm not quite precise enough. The mallet, I don't know if I want that. I could go with the cutlass. The Pirate sword. Mm-hmm. Does the cutlass stabby stab or swing? Does anyone know? I'm gonna look it up on the wiki. And then Paladin Hulk. Oh yeah, Krellin, you said in video games, expensive things tend to be worth it. There aren't capitalistic traps in game design. Paladin Hulk, maybe the people who fell through the cracks can live together in some kind of crack house. That's a joke, but please don't hate me. All right, and I guess the question is how much are you willing to spend? Isn't that always the question for a lot of these things? Yes, but it's more like I just want to make sure it's swipey and not stabby or smashy. And it's also about like you're right, Krellin, in video games usually the more expensive things are better. But let's just go with the cutlass for now. Because I know you can get better weapons later. And no, what? 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 Oh my goodness. I don't know if y'all saw that. But I accidentally just sold the cutlass back for 100. What did I do? I was just trying to change the space in my inventory. Well, oh well. It is swipey. I can't believe I did that. Ugh. Y'all. Y'all. It's okay. I'll be okay. It's fine. It's just a game. Okay. I need to kill more bats. Ben Spacetime saves save scum. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's a good mistake to have made. But look, I can go fast. Look at how fast this is. Swipes. Oh, it's still rough though. Still rough. Oh, look, a grape. Yeah, Krellin, another entry for Cheryl's bad user interface design chronicles. Absolutely. That was horrid. There should be a way to undo. Uh, yeah, Reverend Mort, I guess it's good for the arms dealer I just enriched. Yep. Um, an ethical arms dealer. I don't know what that is. I don't know how that would work. You know, it's fine. It's fine. I don't want to restart the day because we did too many things. It's fine. I'm okay with it. Why did I just stop walking? Oh, he makes prosthetics. Paladin Hulk, I love it. That's an ethical arms dealer. Literally deals in arms. They're really good. Oh, you're making yourself go to an event that scares you this Friday. Well, good luck, silly Mylithiel. Dad was telling me about our national enemy. Wow, this is hardcore. The Gotoro Empire. They sound like a ruthless bunch, according to Sam. Uh, Vincent, I'm hungry. Where's mom? Oh, I'm sorry. And let's talk to hot artist. Check. Leah, I came for the sound of the ocean. Beautiful, isn't it? I came for the sound of the ocean. Beautiful, isn't it? Yes. 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 Oh, got a phone call, but okay. Totally different related thing about just the evils of capitalism. So I have an iPhone 7. I did not buy an iPhone for myself. My mom got it for me a few years ago. She's being very kind. I wasn't going to complain. She got me this great phone with the phone plan and everything because I had lost my previous cell phone. I had like a Moto E, really old thing because I tend to drop things and whatnot. I'm kind of clumsy. So I was chill with it, but she got me a nice iPhone 7. This was September 2019-ish. And I've been using it for a few years. It's only a few years old. And I updated my phone the other day, and then the audio stopped working. I can't play sounds. I can't do anything. And I like the Touch ID because it's nice to not have to remember all the passwords, though it's pretty sketchy in the fact that like I think it's pretty easy to trick. Yeah, did your brown eyes need to not slash the community members with my sword. I'm glad that there's no friendly fire in this game. So anyway, I updated my phone. The sound doesn't work anymore. I can't watch YouTube videos. I can't listen to music. I can't make phone calls. I can't receive phone calls. I brought it to the iPhone store and several other stores, and they all gave me the same answer. There's no way to fix it. The only thing I could do is pay for a new phone. They can take my phone and they'll just take it. And then I just buy another iPhone 7 at full price. And I'm just like, why would I do that? Why would I just give you my phone that still works otherwise? And if I use Bluetooth headphones, it's fine. And yeah, like why? Why would I do that? Why? And they were like, yeah, it's a known issue that when you update an iPhone 7, it can destroy the sound system, but they don't fix it. And I was like, and you didn't warn me? You didn't warn me about this? Why? Again, why? And why would I buy another iPhone when you do things like this? Why would I buy another iPhone 7 when it would just be a countdown timer to the next time the sound board just blew? Like, what are you even talking about? So anyway, screw Apple. Don't buy iPhones. I mean, for a lot of reasons, but this is one of them. I'm gonna fish. I got some time. I got some energy. Let's fish. You're right, Ditcherbun. Thankfully, they don't seem to mind. Yes. And then what else? Yeah, the iPhone 7 does, I think, silly my lithial have twice the features of the current iPhones. It was a good phone. Reverend Mort, oh, I'm sad that it is actually true that you can't just fix it. Yeah, I mean, Charlie got a fair phone, and it's much nicer. Krellin, you said, wait, their update broke the phone, and that's just it? Exactly. Known issue or intentional issue. You got it, Rodin. That's why I say never update anything. Yeah, and I tried rolling it back, and it didn't matter. Didn't matter. Hold on, I want to read this. I hate Apple, yep. Reverend Mort, that particular bug on the iPhone 7 is pretty much unfixable unless you start doing soldering right into the motherboard using components from sketchy Chinese third-party dealers. And yes, as someone who worked on fixing phones, don't buy iPhones. They're overpriced and the internal layouts are shit. Determine why. Planned obsolescence. That's why. Ads. Ads. I'm gonna fish. 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 It's like that song. Shots. 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 But fishing. I love fishing. Fishing time. It's fishing time. I'm only getting trash because I suck at fishing time. All right, I want to see. Krellin, you said, I think it's close to quitting time. Aradin, the girl from Plainville, McDonald's, Quest Mortgage for me, ads done. Reverend Mort, and their policy on first-party replacement part means it's pretty much Apple stores or off-brand third-party parts, which is a great way to keep the price for repairs insanely high or eat a bunch of intentionally designed, fuck you, you used parts we didn't make, no more Face ID, well, webcam for you. Yeah. Silly My Lithial, Takedown Tobacco, the Northman movie, Machine Gun Kelly tour, HR Block. Krellin, dear Twitch, you don't pay streamers enough to make me watch these ads. Yeah. I mean, I wish I could turn it off. Like that's the thing is if I don't turn it off, everybody who joins gets pre-roll ads, which is a bummer. I don't know if y'all saw, we've got this stream thing we're trying to get to. I'm trying to get to a goal of 170 followers on here. So if you've got any friends that you think would like this channel, consider letting them know about it. And maybe they can give us a follow. The other thing is, we've got a stream coming up this Sunday with a internet famous sex worker named Ayala. That will be on our usual Sunday stream time. I don't think she'll cancel on us, so it should be pretty cool. She did this really interesting sort of sociological survey related to assaults and like what do people consider or not consider consensual or non-consensual sexual behavior, and it was sad and fascinating. So we'll be talking about that. We will also be doing a lot of upcoming classes. I want to tell you all about that. Oh, I gotta run to bed. Am I gonna make it to bed? I can't believe I lost track of time. I'm not gonna make it. I guess I get trapped on too many things when I try to walk in this game. Oh my goodness. I hope I don't lose too much money. Will I make it all the way to bed? Last Sunday's stream was really fun. We ended up talking for almost 2 hours and just chatting with all of you, which was, nope, I passed out. Ugh, which was lovely. Our schedule coming up is pretty cool. I can actually, because I fixed everything, I can actually show y'all what my schedule is like now. Let me go to intermission. Yeah, because then you can see what I was up to here. And you can see, I'm going to make this bigger so that you can all see it better. I was on the wiki trying to find out if it was a slashy weapon or not. I think this is our website. As you can see, it's consent.academy. We've got some things coming up on our calendar. So next week, this Sunday, we just did Saturday working with harm and trauma. Consent basics, Tuesday, April 5th, 10 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, which is 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central European Summer Time, which is now. And Charlie and I will be there as well as some other people. And then we have this Sunday on April 3rd, our consent support group for BIPOC people. And then we have also, not this weekend, but the next weekend, a class on how do you write codes of conduct and policy and procedure and things like that. Then we've also got a class coming up on the 10th about how to make a good apology. It's a sort of relationship skills series. You should check them out. We always have sliding scale costs for our classes, and as always, if our consent basics classes are always free, our consent chats and support groups are always free. Everything else we do need to make money, but if a class is ever cost prohibitive, you can always let us know and we can talk about it. We have our Patreon. You can check that out. And then we're going to start doing at some point watch parties of things like documentaries or short form video essays or things like that, and then talking about them together. And we'll probably do that through our Discord, but that's still TBA for all of the planning. Silly Mylathiel, I think it would be cool if you tried a no farming run of this game. Oh, I stream opposite Cheryl. I hadn't realized. You can always check it out in the VODs then. All right, so it was really lovely to hang out with all of you today. Thank you for joining me. Let your friends know about this channel and see if they want to give it a follow, which is always free. And I will catch you all next time. Bye.